Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the Wild Bunch Talk Show, episode 2. We got my little bro, Asante Hartzog, and we got TJ McKay, both coaching out of Mount Miguel High School. So first question, we got TJ, growing up in Palmdale. Talk to me.
Man, growing up in Palmdale was good. We moved up from LA. My cousins in LA, they gave us a lot of flack because we were up in Palmdale, but I mean I loved it. It was we had a backyard, we had a front yard. I had kids all around the neighborhood, so we light pole to light pole, playing football, we racing. It was just it's good structure. It was good structure.
So you said you started in LA. When did you get to Palmdale?
So we left LA in '92, and we went up to the IE actually for a year. So we were in the IE for a year, and then my parents had an opportunity to buy a home. So we moved to Palmdale like 93, 94, something around there.
And how old were you?
Third grade.
Third grade. So your youth ball, did you start in LA and then did you start playing in LA, or did you start playing when you got to Palmdale?
I started playing in the IE. So we were in Fontana, Rialto area, and so I started flag football. So I started flag football there, and then my first year of actual tackle was the first year that we moved to Palmdale, which was like I said, 97, something like that, 95, 96, whatever.
Okay. Little bro, San Diego, California. You know what I'm saying? Talk to us about you coming up. Who'd you play for youth?
I played for a lot of teams coming up, but one of the main teams that I played for, Balboa Raiders. That's when I first experienced the Coach Bashiv's defense, swarming everywhere. But, and Los Toros was another main, youth team that I played for that I really like.
Okay. So you went to high school in Palmdale, right?
Yep.
Talk to us about your high school experience.
My high school experience was amazing. We called the program at Palmdale High. Early on, when I first got to high school, they weren't that good. My class kind of came in and changed everything around. My 4 years there, we went 45-7.
Sheesh.
Yeah, 45-7. 7 or 6. 3 of those losses came to the same team, Notre Dame Sherman Oaks. Semifinal runs my sophomore, junior year, and then a championship run my senior year, but unfortunately, never took home the big trophy.
So never got one, huh? Do you still think about it?
All the time, all the time. I think I tweeted about it recently. I said, "Tell the kids take advantage of every play because you don't get them back." It wasn't until San Diego State went to play at it was a Home Depot Center back then. That was my first time going back since 2004 or 2003 playing that championship. I just couldn't step foot in the building no more. Every time I drove by it, I'm like, "Let's get up out of here." You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I feel you on that. So me being since I was a DC, I kind of been lucky. Been to CIF quite a few times, and like how you say, you still think about it. Mm-hmm. And even though we won state last year, I still think about when we lost to Oceanside and Helix. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to play those guys again because I feel the same way you feel. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it.
Yeah. That feeling, I don't think it ever leaves you. I've seen some coaches on Twitter and dudes that I know. They'll still talk about those times that they lost games in high school as a player. We're talking about this is 20 years ago this year. They're actually doing like a 20-year reunion for my team because we were obviously we didn't win it all. We were one of the best teams that ever come through the school.
Heart of a competitor, man. Heart of a competitor. Always gonna hate losing more than you like winning.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think all the good ones feel like that. So we got a little bro. Your high school, you started off at Madison. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So what made you make that move from Madison to Lincoln?
Simple. Everybody want to be on varsity, so they had the quarterback Terrell Carter. He was a real good quarterback, and he was a grade above me. So I wouldn't probably play varsity quarterback until my senior year. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to give back to the community at Lincoln, especially. That's what made me go to Lincoln from Madison. So I wanted to give back to the community, and they needed an opening quarterback job. So I was able to start there as a sophomore.
Okay.
Get my feet wet and, get going early.
Okay. kind of like it's the same question that I kind of asked him. Well, like with your team, I feel like your team, your senior year, was probably one of the greatest teams to like not win. You know what I'm saying? You guys were stacked. You know, you guys had Mino, you, Kenyon, Dejan, Jalen Bailey, Peanut,
Charles Higgs,
Chuck, Don, Kevin. Man, like that team was stacked. Lamont. It was, you can go down the list, and I'm pretty sure we're still missing some that were even just Marquise. He was a sophomore on that team. Like that team was really, really ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And you guys didn't win. I think you guys lost. You guys lost to Otay, right?
We lost 2. We lost to
Point Loma, but the playoffs you guys lost to Otay. Yeah. So why do you think you guys didn't win that year, that CIF that year? Because you guys should have won that year.
First of all, you mentioned a lot of good players, but most of them were like skill athletes. So we didn't really have no really good line, and you need a line to be able to operate anything on the offense. And also we didn't have no leadership. Nobody was a leader. You need a team, a championship team at that, to have everybody bought in, you know, leadership wise and on one page. Everybody was doing their own thing. So that's what divided us. And when it came down to those hard games, everybody was just playing for themselves. They weren't playing for the team. And that's really where we ended up.
Yeah. Just part of being young, man. Young, you know, kind of immature. Yeah. So I get it. You know, it just kind of plays into that. What they always say is, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you guys don't have that chemistry, then that's kind of where it gets separated. Now everybody's bought in, you know, a lot of clicks and everything into a lot of clicks in one team, so it can't get kind of hectic like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but you live and you learn. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know you learn from it. Yeah. And then so now you becoming a coach, do you take that lesson into coaching?
I definitely always tell the team, like, the coaches are going to tell you one thing, but it's up to the players to, you know, talk amongst themselves and do what they're supposed to do. Because, like I said, the coaches can tell you one thing, but you will listen to your peers way more than you listen to the coaches. I've seen it. I've played, so I know. You have to have leadership within the team.
Yeah. So I think that plays a big part into winning, because I think that really is the difference between our teams that won CIF and when we lost CIF. You know, you guys probably didn't have the best. Your best players weren't the hardest workers. Exactly. And that's one thing I always preach to my players is our best players got to be our hardest workers. That's the only way it's gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Can't be you. I know not everybody wants to be the vocal guy, but even if you're not the vocal guy, you at least got to show, you know what I'm saying? You got to show it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I think the difference in the teams that, like I said, the teams that we won, we had good senior leadership, and then the ones that we probably lost, the guys were probably just like, oh, I'm my own man. You feel me? They're going to do what they're going to do. Themselves. And they didn't really push nobody and hold nobody accountable. You know, even if they held themselves accountable, you got to hold everybody else and make your teammates better. And that's what separates the good ones from the bad ones.
And that's also why, like, I try to get on our guys about practicing hard and everything, because we didn't practice hard. You seen us, we was at practice, we just going through the motions, or starting running back, you know, practicing lazy, at the O-line practicing lazy, all the coaches weren't bought in.
Gotta be on one accord. That's one thing Coach Montali has spoke on, was that their coaching staff is all bought in the same message, and everybody's working. So that's one thing that does play into a program, and that's one thing that I see you guys at Mount Miguel building, is you guys are building a real strong coaching staff. You know, you got you guys as far as the offensive end, you got you, V, his guys, and on the defensive end, y'all Ultron over there. Y'all got Aaron, you, Lil Alave, Lil Bro, Scott. Y'all got guys, man. I think that's how you put it together, and that's how you build a program. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of leads into my next question, is taking us through your coaching journey.
So my first year coaching, it was the year after I graduated college. Didn't get the lead call. So I moved back home trying to figure it out like a lot of us end up doing. So my coaching staff, who had been there since like mid-90s, they said, hey, why don't you come out and coach? So I came out. My first year, we went hard in the weight room. It was myself and one of my other teammates that graduated the same year as me from state. We ended up going back home, and
this is in Palmdale, correct?
This is in Palmdale, yeah. So we were running the weight room. I went in there, saw kids in Crocs and sandals, and I went in the coach's office. I said, let me have the weight room. And we just went in there and just absolutely wrecked these kids. Even the kids that ended up going and playing Division I football, to this day, they will tell me that like this was the hardest time that they've had in the weight room. So I on the field I was knowledgeable, but I was under the impression that the kids were me. You should be able to do this because I was able to do this. So my first year, looking back on it, was probably maybe not the right approach. I think I might have rubbed some kids the wrong way just because my expectation of them wasn't realistic. They weren't me. At the time, I was a Division I guy, and they weren't that.
See, and it took you 1 year to do that, so it means you're a pretty smart coach. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of coaches, it takes them a few years to get that, and that is a struggle. You know what I'm saying? Is to understand that they're not you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to start over, and you got to get that out their head. You got to get that out your head that they're not you, and then you got to just start from scratch, and then you can move on as a coach. But that's one thing that you have to learn. But go ahead, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, for sure, absolutely. So I coached there for 2 seasons, and then I ended up making my way back to San Diego. That was always my goal, was to get back here. You got another question about football and stuff, but I ended up playing arena football for a couple years, and I kind of gave that up. We'll touch on that. I know it's later on down the line, but so I came back to San Diego, and at that time I just wasn't thinking about coaching. I was just enjoying myself back into what I viewed as home. So I had my friends still here, so we were out and about, and we were in the streets. And Coach V, actually, we met in 2012 on the elevator at Ashford University. We were working, and he's like, found out I played football. He's like, come coach. Like, man, I'm not coaching nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying my city. And then fast forward to 2018, one of my best friends ended up moving back here. He used to coach at the University of Michigan. He was a GA with Brady Hoke and crew. And he came back, and he was a DC, and he called me and was like, hey, I need you. And that was a call. I love V. That's my guy, but this was like my guy from like 7th grade. Yeah. So he ended up getting me back in, and then from that time, like V was just kind of on me heavy. So my first year I was coaching in the secondary, and then my boy ended up leaving, who was a coordinator, and I just kind of stepped into the role. And kind of took off.
So before we get back into your coaching journey, I did skip a part. First of all, after high school, college, San Diego State.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? San Diego State. You played for, who was the head coach?
I played for Tom Kraft for 2 years, my redshirt year, my redshirt freshman year, and then they were fired, and then Chuck Long came in and took over,
So how was that, being at San Diego State?
Oh, it was great. San Diego, Palmdale is like a small town, like a small city in the mountains. So it was kind of slow motion. So I was used to that kind of slow motion life, but which San Diego kind of has, but it's a big city, but it's a little bit slow motion. So the transition was, it was great. It was kind of seamless. But even then, when you're playing football, you don't have a life. Your life is football. Your schedule is structured. You know when you eat, when you sleep, when you go to the bathroom, when you go to class, like everything is kind of set for you. So it was pretty easy.
So a lot of kids have a hard. It's that first year of college is a real critical year. You know what I'm saying, as far as getting acclimated into the schedule of being a college athlete, the class, because like in high school, like the teachers kind of cater to you and make sure that you got everything. In college, like they're just talking. It's up to you to kind of stay up to the pace of everything. So how did you handle that coming in as a freshman? Did you redshirting help you with that process?
Yeah, I would say so. But I mean, I'll fast forward back. I got there early, actually. So I got there in the summertime. But at that time, it wasn't the norm for freshmen to be there in June, July. So I was there for maybe 2 months prior. So I kind of knew a few guys. But that first camp was mind-blowing. I had no idea that it was football 30 days straight, 6 a.m. to 10:30. You know, we would get back after meetings. The crazy thing that tripped me out was like we go to practice and then we go to meetings to watch practice. And I was just like, what? Like, I was there. Like, I saw it, you know what I'm saying? But and then we go to the dorms at night, all the upperclassmen sitting in the dorms, they playing dominoes, they playing cards, and I'm just like dog tired. I'm calling home. My family's, you know, they talking to everybody, got me on speakerphone. I had a niece at the time. She was, 6, 7 months, and they having a good time. I was brought to tears. I was ready to go home. I swear I was ready to go home. And I love the game. I love football. But it was so much football that I was just kind of overwhelmed. And then fast forward to when we moved into the dorms and we kind of picked roommates. And finally I was like, hey, man, like, how did y'all feel about this camp? And, like, almost every freshman was like, I was ready to leave. And I was like, man, thank God I wasn't on my own. Like,
So what helped you fight through that?
I had some really good vets, Marviel Underwood, and then my pops came down a few times just to kind of tap in with me. So just pretty much those, my vet, my pops, and then just a love for the game. I knew that it wasn't going to last long. My roommate, it was his first camp. He was a walk-on junior, so he couldn't give me any tips. He couldn't give me any advice. He was a safety, so like I'm a true freshman. I'm practicing with the guys who are getting ready to play because the practices were split. And he's practicing with the red shirt guys. So he really like, I'm not going to help you with anything because, you know what I'm saying? Like you came in and you done jumped me. So, just, my village is kind of what kept me going.
How was your recruiting process? Like how, did you have, I know you probably had a couple schools looking at you. How was your recruiting process about finally choosing to go to state?
So it was during the time where, I think Tammino probably don't really know this time, but it was you had to be home to get those calls. Like they called the house phone. It wasn't no cell phones, you know what I'm saying? So like it wasn't no hanging out. It was like, hey, I got to be home on this day and this day because these schools are going to call. So throughout the whole process, did the Nike camps and, kind of got a little bit of buzz. The interesting story is my mom created my buzz. This is like 2003. Internet is I'm going to date myself. The kids going to think I'm old. But 2003, the internet was barely kind of getting going.
Not lying. He's not lying.
It was barely getting going. And so my mom was on these rival web pages or whatever it's called and message boards. And she found out that Greg Biggins was an administrator. There was another guy named Brian Stumpf, I believe. He was an administrator, and we going to the camps, and we're doing good. But all the guys that are getting the clout are the guys that are in L.A. and Mission Viejo and those schools. So my mom just started inquiring with Greg, like, hey, T.J. McKay, he did well at the Nike camp. Like, what do you think? And all of a sudden, it started to kind of pick up a little bit. Ended up getting rated. I think it was like a 2-star, nothing crazy. But for us, that was major at the time. Like, I didn't know anybody that had stars.
Nah, because you really had to grind and you really had to you had the recruiting process. I'm gonna ask you that. Go ahead, finish your story. Finish your story.
Yeah. So she kind of got things buzzing a little bit. Drove me up to Oregon. Went to an Oregon Nike camp. Went to the USC Nike camp. She got it buzzing for me online. Thank God for that woman. And from there things started to pick up, and I started to receive interest. At the time, it was a Pac-10. I'm not sure what they are now.
Yeah.
But
8, 7,
4, whatever's left. But it was a Pac-10. So I was getting weekly calls from Washington State and Oregon. Every week. Like they're calling every week, tapping in with me. Oregon, I actually had a lot of respect for Oregon to this day because they kind of explained to me what was going on. They said, hey, you're number 3 on the board. We got 2 guys. These guys commit. Unfortunately, we won't have a home for you. I always respected that. Washington State, they said nothing. They just stopped calling, just ghosted. Ghosting wasn't a term at the time, but like they just kind of ghosted me. So fast forward, I played my whole senior year, nothing, no offers, nothing. Team goes to the championship. We played for 14, 15 games. And going into like December, going into January, I have nothing. There's no early signing day at this point. So everybody signed in February. End of December, Washington State's playing in the Holiday Bowl. We that week, my receiver coach went in, double deck VCR, we watched every game. Record, rewind, record, rewind, record. We made my highlight tape on a VHS tape. Dubbed it twice. One of my friends, Pops, drove us both down to see Washington State practice. Gave a tape to Washington State. Brought a second tape. Gave it to San Diego State. Probably 5 days later, they called and was like, "Hey, we want you to come down for a visit." And during the whole recruiting process, I never heard from them, which is strange because we came down to the 7-on-7 tournament.
The San Diego State?
Yeah, we came down to San Diego State, and they were just all over us. They were all over me and my teammates. And then they found out I was a Pac-10 guy at the time, or what they say was a Pac, I was, and they just went away. And then when they found out I was still available, they were like, "Oh,
got to get on him."
Yeah, so then came down for a visit, and then like 2 days later I got an offer. And then I ended up committing. Then a couple of schools kind of came in late. Some 1AAs, NAU came in, but at that time, like San Diego State,
He was already sold. San Diego State.
Yeah. So I just didn't have a lot cooking at the time. If you look at my rivals profile, I think I screenshot it. I was gonna show it to some.
Yeah, I seen it.
One of my kids, just because these kids get so caught up on, I want the offer, I need the offer, and it's like, man, I got an offer a week before signing day, and it worked out.
Just keep grinding, man, because you never know when that opportunity is gonna come for you. You know what I'm saying? So kind of got so we talked about your recruiting process, how mom's is pretty much your recruiter, you know what I'm saying? She was the one kind of getting your film out, talk, putting on all the sites and stuff like that. And like now, with all the internet and stuff like that, it's really, I want to say it's almost easier to kind of get recruited or get your name out there now than how it is now. I mean, how it is now than how it was back then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what do you feel about what the difference is between the recruiting process now versus then?
Back then, man, I think schools sent tapes to schools, and then they wanted you to dub it and send it back, but they wanted game tapes. It wasn't, highlight tapes didn't really exist. We was, myself and maybe one other guy in our area, we were the first ones to actually have highlight tapes, like with all of our plays, consecutively. So it just didn't really exist. We didn't have the outlet. I call this, my coaches, they ran a good program, but I call them now, they're technically like springtime coaches. What a springtime coach is that they wait until the spring comes, the colleges make their tours, they stop by, there's no additional reaching out, there's nothing during the summer, during the spring, you know what I'm saying? Like they just wait for the coaches to come through. And that's not a knock on them because they didn't know at the time, or maybe the resources weren't there for them. But nowadays, man, these kids, between the few guys that we have in the county that have all these relationships, Jason Carter, Coach V, I'm sure some guys up north, and then obviously with Twitter and having direct connections with these coaches, being able to put your highlight tape, your highlights. I mean, you can go viral off a highlight, and all of a sudden they saying, "Hey, who is Asante Hartzog? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is he? And then
as far as your coaching journey."
No. So okay, so it was just Montgomery. Montgomery was my first stop.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that was my first the first place that I coached at because my childhood friend was there, and then Freddie Dunkel and DeMarco Sampson, who I played with in college, were there. Had a good relationship with both those guys, so it just kind of all fit. So I spent 4 seasons there. Just kind of got burnt out. I think it was a little bit of the COVID year, playing those back-to-back seasons, and so I just kind of took last season off. And my goal always was, if Coach V got a job, that I would that I would go and link up with him. That's something that him and I had talked about, for years. Everybody else is kind of seeing this thing come together, but this is something that we've been talking about since he was at Kearney and since I was at Montgomery. When the time came that we would, kind of join forces. And so this is actually only my second stop at Mount Miguel. And
So we'll start with you, Tay. Being at Mount Miguel right now, what is your guys' vision as far as the program?
Getting guys to college and most importantly, molding guys into men. A lot of the players that we have coming from like the inner city in Mount Miguel, they don't have no structure. So that's our biggest part, is like being that structure and preparing guys for life, really. Because
that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. What about you, TJ? What do you feel? What is your? I know you guys talk about it together, but what is your vision? To help. the program?
I'm shooting. I mean, me personally, I know everybody else would agree with it. Like, we're shooting to be the best. People might say it's crazy. You know, maybe 3-4 years from now, we won't play Bosco. You know, and if you don't shoot for those things, then how can you, if you fall short, maybe we're not playing Bosco, maybe it's, somebody else in the Trinity at the time. But like that's the ultimate goal, is to, to build a top tier program, like Coach Tate said, structure and accountability, responsibility, kind of teaching these young men what it means to be a Mount Miguel Matador, what it means to be a, successful high school football player.
Want to win while developing. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people think you can't do both. You know what I'm saying? Like, they think you can't do both when it's totally possible to win at the same time as developing and getting those other things right. A lot of people try to talk and think like a program only cares about just winning. When I don't think you can win without developing. No matter how many transfers you get, or it don't matter. You still got to develop and put it all together.
And coming from a program where you might only have 30 kids, it's tough. It's tough. You kind of get held hostage. You have to kind of figure out, like, is the win or teaching the lesson, more important? And it really is. It really does put a strain on you as a coach, because ultimately we're here to win games. You know what I'm saying? But like, you can't just let the kids run over you and think that they can, kind of do what it is, whatever they want. And you kind of said about the transfers and like kind of building that structure. It's like, people think that these transfers might come to you and they're just ready-made. But like, they're coming from situations where there was no structure at all, right? Where they might have run the DB drills, or they might have run the linebacker drills as a player. So, they still need those things, even though they might be a little bit more athletically gifted than some of the other kids.
Want to touch on something you said, like, man, this is an argument all the time. Because, like, well, we get a lot of transfers. Guys come over, you know what I'm saying? Then people will be like, well, they don't develop nobody like the kid we got was a finished product. You know what I'm saying? No kid goes into college. Nobody goes into college a finished product. Nobody even goes into the pros as a finished product. So we kind of touched on a little bit with Verlaine. You know what I'm saying? Verlaine is a hell of a coach. I think he has, 3 or 4 state championships? He got 4, two at Madison, right?
Yeah.
2 at Madison, 2 at Mater Dei.
Oh, yeah, it's 4 for sure.
You know what I'm saying? He's a
reminds you.
He's a Dago GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Speak to us a little bit about Verlaine, Tay. You know what I'm saying? You was with him for the beginning. He was kind of bringing up Kasi. So speak on V.
So V coached me my freshman year at Madison when I was a freshman. So he was my OC. And then like from day one, Coach V coached me. He just knew like I was a leader, and I seen what kind of coach that he was, and I wanted to be part of him. I'm a coachable kid, so I really love Coach V, and he always stayed in contact with me like throughout my high school. Like he would call me regularly, checking up on me, trying to help me out. And then my senior year is when he actually transferred to Lincoln when I was at Lincoln. And he just always like had that love for me, and he always been a coach that's trying to help the kid get out, regardless of the situation somewhere. And he's a pretty good coach.
How about you, TJ?
Man, V is it's a good dude. Like, this is a really good dude. He sometimes, I tell him, like, bro, you need to go take a vacation. You need to go take a break. Like, he called me at 11 o'clock talking about the kids. I'm like, hey, man, that's it. Like, so he really does, man. He loves these kids. He loves what he does. He loves calling offense. It seems like he's having a great time being a head coach, kind of, building the structure of the program from both levels, and, holding the kids accountable, holding the coaches accountable. He's just all around good, really good dude, man. He cares about these kids so much. He wants to do everything he can to help these kids. He wants, like we all have, we've seen, I tell the kids, like, the kid that's the best athlete in the world but doesn't have the grades. We've seen him already. We know him. Every generation has him, right? The kid that's the great athlete and can't be consistent. He's not smart on the field. He's making dumb mistakes. We've seen him. We know him, right? So everything we've seen. So he has a mission to be able to prevent those things for the kids. He's always saying, like, man, this kid, like, I don't want to lose him. I know this kid. I've seen him before. Like, I know that we can that we can get to him. We just got to stay persistent. We got to stay on him. I don't want him to end up this way. So yeah, dude's just a really good dude, man. I think sometimes he might get a bad rap for whatever reason. I just think that people don't know him. But when you're in the circle, it's all love. It's we go back and forth. We might get into it, but it's healthy. If you're not getting into it with your staff, if you're not kind of going at it, then I'm not sure how this thing is really working.
Football, man, it happens.
Yeah, in college, I used to see my receiver, my DB coach, my receiver coach, like almost butting heads, just ready to go in the locker room and
they the ops, right? They the ops, man.
Yeah, So, but yeah, man, just all around good dude, man. Cares about these kids so much, and just definitely happy to be a part of this program with him.
So pretty much the same thing you guys say about Verlaine is him. I feel like it's him and Jason Carter. I kind of feel like those two right now are kind of like they like Pac and Snoop. You know what I'm saying? Dago's most wanted right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They get a bad rap a lot. I think they're just misunderstood because at the end of the day, all they want to do is help the kids. I tell them both. I tell them both the same thing, that they both do the same thing. They got their own 7-on-7 thing going on. They got their own little stuff going on, and but they're both just trying to help kids. They're trying to help the kids. They're helping kids that don't even play for them. You know what I'm saying? So I think San Diego should be more grateful to have two people like them that are putting it all on the line and going all the way in to help these next generation of kids. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then I feel like it's kind of like that's why I wanted to bring you two on here first, and I'm gonna bring Verlaine on here too. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of people are trying to put them against each other. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to bring that. Well, it came to a stop. I think both of them talked. They're both kind of on the same page now. I think it was just one big misunderstanding, between two alpha males. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got y'all thing going on with McKay, and we got our thing going on with Dream Chasers, and I think they can do more damage together with each other and not try to let other people put them against each other. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's nothing personal at all. You know what I'm saying? It's all love, and it's a respect. It's just competition at the end of the day. Like you said, you want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? You want to be the best, so y'all gonna have to play us. You feel me? We got to play. That's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? And I think we all love it, and we all ready for it when that day comes. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of wanted to put that to rest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not no real beef between McKay and Dream Chasers. You know what I'm saying? I think your boy Meech. Only thing I had a problem was your boy Meech when he called his little bro. But that was all good though. You feel me? Like I liked it. You feel me? Like I never wanted to fight him or nothing. It was just like, okay, now we playing, we got to give it to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it was. Like I said, I don't think it was nothing personal. And like I said, those two, that everybody else needs to know that that they need to appreciate those two for what they're doing as far as San Diego, because they did so much for San Diego as far as just, y'all taking y'all team on the road, us taking our team on the road, getting them seen, getting them out there in those different places that a lot of people wouldn't, as San Diego as a whole, we probably wouldn't have seen without those two.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the county as a whole should appreciate these dudes. I'm not from here. I've been here, going on 20 years, but as far as being in the football community, it's really only been, 7-8 years or whatever. So I would be willing to bet that like these two guys combined have probably helped more kids in the last 5 to 7 than maybe anybody, ever.
What year did you graduate?
2018.
2018. So that's what? How many years ago? That's what?
That's like almost 5 years.
5 years. So yeah, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
I feel like those guys are probably.
And I know with some other coaches that I hear Coach Rowe a lot that was helping a lot of kids, and I'm sure it was some guys that
it's no disrespect. It's no disrespect.
It's just
to nobody, but those two guys are doing it a little bit different and a little bit more often than. And I'm from here, you know what I'm saying? So I know, you know what I'm saying? And that's another reason why I feel like people need to appreciate Carter is because he's not even from here. You know, he's from Texas. He has no ties to San Diego. And it would take a lot for him to leave because he loves what he does so much. You know what I'm saying? He's here for the kids, you know, so.
Yeah, whoever they are, like, they don't want to see these two dudes, dominate the way that they have. That's just the way that I feel, and I mean they're gonna do their best to try to pit those guys against each other. Again, we're saying they, not necessarily anybody specific, but I just think it's the system as a whole, and everything has a system, right? The system doesn't want to see these two guys kind of thrive and kind of be the way that do the things that they have done so successfully.
Yeah. So talking about those two, the biggest problem is the whole transfer thing. You know, we done had our fair share of battles. Y'all having y'all fair share of battles. So, what do you think, as far not just addressing the problem, what do you think the solution is to this problem?
Well, see, I don't know the exact statistics on how many kids are actually transferring amongst the whatever, probably 1 million kids.
Yeah.
It's 13,000 every year, give or take.
That move. And how many kids are in? Just over 50. Over 50,000?
Yeah, just over 50.
And there's an athlete. That's all athletes. That's just kids that are moving schools.
13,000 CIF varsity athletes, transfer schools every year, give or take.
Okay. I think you got to give them a free one. I think you got to give kids and parents an opportunity to make a mistake, because no matter how you want to, narrate it or work the story, is that like there are some programs that are not very good. Go around and watch. Just go watch a practice and see where a practice is run. So sometimes these kids and these parents are going to pick the wrong program. I do think we give participation trophies to coaches. It's just like, just because you're giving up your time, away from your families and whatnot, which is commendable. You get a pat on the back. But if you're not running the program correctly, then why would a kid want to stay? If kid's been there for 2 years, 3 years, and you've never won, and you're not even close to winning, and you're getting run and clocked every week for 2 years, like, why would anybody want to stay for that?
And then and then too, like he says, like, what are you doing for the kid? Like, this kid is is a D1 type of kid, but then it'll be a kid that ain't never talked to a coach. You know what I'm saying? Ain't never seen one, ain't never talked to one. You know what I'm saying? So like he says, like, if you're not, all you're gonna do is hold the kid back at the end of the day because he doesn't want to play for you anymore. Like you said, it's just kind of like give him a free, like, he thought he came in thinking one thing, and just life happens. It's not what it is. So I don't think nothing is wrong with giving them a free one.
Yeah, I mean, when we were texting back and forth, you said pop off. So, I might catch a little bit of heat. I don't think that some of these dudes even know what a Division I football player looks like. Mm-hmm. So, we can look at a kid, and I think that you can look at a kid and say, look at how he moves as a 14-year-old. There's something there. We get the kids all the time. I think I have a very unique perspective, and you as well, because of 7-on-7. So we see these kids that come from these different schools, and they have a lot of work to be done, and they might not even be a starter at their school, or it could be a kid where they don't even have a DB coach or receiver coach. They come to us, they get so much better. So I think our perspective, our lens is completely different because we do get an opportunity to kind of see a little bit of everybody.
Hi, San Diego. I don't know if I'm a part of this final edit of the podcast, so we'll see if the two of us make it in here. But the Wild Bunch, what's up? This is a great episode so far. I wanted to ask a question of you as a Division IV coach, because to me, a lot of these numbers are also kids that they're transferring for like legitimate, like they just moved, or they just like some of the ebb and flow is that. So I feel like football should just be its own thing, and regardless of any of the football should just be, you can transfer for we can treat football differently because it makes more money for everybody, so we can treat it differently because it transfers differently for everybody. Do you think that football deserves to just be exempt entirely of transfer rules?
I think you open up a can of worms that you probably don't really want to. I think that the basketball coaches and probably basketball, maybe baseball. They would probably take the biggest exception to that. So I don't know. I'm okay with like not having an opinion on something in a day and age where everybody does. So I'm not really sure about how that will work. But I do think they should give a kid one free. You get one free transfer. Maybe the second transfer you got to sit out 5. And at that point in time, like you're just kind of moving around now, and you don't really have a home. So maybe you're the one that's making the wrong decisions here.
So another subject is, how do you feel about the state of 7-on-7 right now?
Sometimes I think it's great, right? So you kind of you said something about like it's bigger than just being the best player in San Diego. I used to tell my kids when I was at Montgomery, and I'll tell my kids now at Mount Miguel, is bigger than Blossom Lane, right? It's bigger than Imperial Ave. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think when they get out to these tournaments, and we as coaches get to see like, oh yeah, it's real. Like there are kids that are like next level kids. Like the internet's going crazy over Zach Branch at SC, but like we've been watching Zach Branch for 4 years. So like
these tournaments,
this ain't no surprise to us. Like we've been seeing these things. Jalen Rashada is a kid that's starting at Arizona State. We've been watching him since he was, I think, a sophomore on the circuit. So I think that it's important. What you said, kind of talked on the state of it. I think it's healthy right now. I would like a little bit more continuity between the tournaments, rules and whatnot, some consistency. But I mean, we're asking for consistency from San Diego referees. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, that might not happen anytime soon. But for some reason, the internet will catch, the kid wearing the mink coat and the shades and stuff, and they put that out there. But that's not how this goes down. That's not what the circuit is. These things are run well. I think the college 7-on-7s are run worse than the circuit 7-on-7s. Yeah. So it's healthy. It's not going anywhere. We said this in 2018. Like, you better get with it because 7-on-7 is here to stay. And then now when you look up, it's a 7-on-7 tournament with the high schools here in San Diego in February. Yeah. So,
So I kind of as far as the competition, I think it is needed because rather the rules, the winning, and all that, it's just the competition, just going out there competing. Mm-hmm. I feel like that just makes the kid better. Like you said, you're going out there and you're actually seeing how some of these guys look, how some of these guys are built, and you start to see like, yeah, I'm probably not the D, because like I'm not this big, or I'm not. You might get a kid that. I kind of use it as a test. I got a new kid that's coming in. I want to see, can he compete? You know what I'm saying? How does he react to adversity and stuff like that? You kind of put him in situations like that, and then and you put him in those waters, and it kind of shows you, are they going to sink or swim? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The parts that you touched on as far as the guys wearing the mask and the meat coats and all of that stuff. That is the stuff that kind of like turns me off about 7-on-7. That's like the extras and all that. Yeah. I'm not with all that because I think it takes away from the focus, which is developing for the football season, and that kind of goes into the offenses that you kind of see in the 7-on-7, and that's kind of what turns me off too, because it's like, bro, like this is supposed to be a simulation of real football. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I thought it always was about. But then when you see these drag routes that kill me at the line of scrimmage, like that kills me so much. The route combinations where you got like double post in a corner, it's like, bro, like you will never. This is high school football. Yeah,
the quarterbacks that don't drop back.
Like I'm trying to teach my guys to read a 3-step, 5-step, and he's like, Coach, he didn't take a drop, and then I go back and look at him like, yeah, you're right, he's not taking a drop, bro. He's like, so that's the type of stuff that kind of makes me mad about it. But at the end of the day, as long as they're going out competing, I can give a damn whether we win or lose, So, you know what I'm saying? It keeps them to keep their kids together and they're learning, getting on the same page. That's smart of them, you know what I'm saying, to me.
I mean, I think they also could, attempt to build a relationship. I mean, I've been doing it for 5 seasons now, and I don't think I've ever had a coach reach out to me and say, hey, my kid is playing on your team. This is what he does well. This is what he needs to work on. I've never had anybody say that. I'm just making a determination based off of what I see. And so, again, if it's a community, if it's a village, then like, hey, you got my kid. They so worried about their kid leaving their school when I'm like, we talk to the kids all the time, man, how's it going? How you feeling, man? Coach, I love it. The competition, like, these guys are good. I got to step my game up. And we say, oh, what are they saying back at your school? Or they're asking me if I'm being recruited. And we just kind of laugh, like, are you? And they're like, nobody's ever said anything to me about, like, transferring schools. I'm like, man, my goal is to send you back from the secondary standpoint. Number one, I want to send you back with better eyes. That's it. I want to send you back with better eyes. If you got any type of game that's going to show, I just want you to have better eyes. So you send your kid to me, hopefully when they come back, they're going to have better eyes and they're going to run to the ball.
That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about.
So, yeah.
I got you. So, a question for you, little bro. What made you get into coaching?
Always wanted to give back to like when I was younger, I used to go to the youth games. Like when I was in high school, I used to go to youth games all the time, and just like seeing the joy that the youth kids have. And I used to be that young guy that like looked up to the older players and stuff. And so really quarterbacking really helped me like being the leader of the team. And Coach V seen that in me like my senior year, and he always say like, you make a good coach. So after I started playing at Mesa, he's asked me if I wanted to do 7-on-7, and then from 7-on-7, and that's when I started taking off. Because I'm not gonna lie, coaching is fun. Coaching is fun.
So as a coach, we go through the season as we're starting to see them now. We got all these rankings lists, and all these people with fake profile pages and making all these rankings and stuff like that. As a coach, how do you deal with that? Or what is your opinion on that?
It used to bother me, right? It used to bother me because, we're at the ground level. So like we said, we get to see these kids. We hold tryouts. What you guys get, 150 maybe at your tryout, at least 100 kids coming to a Dream Treasure tryout.
Yeah.
Right. So we get about the same, about 100, 150 kids, and we host a big camp, first round exposure. So we get another opportunity to see about 150 kids over a 2-day period. And I've never seen anybody that does these rankings and does these lists and talks about these kids. I've never seen them at any of these things. So I think our perspective, like we said earlier, like our perspective is different because we get an opportunity to see these kids in action. So it's just like, how can you make a list and rank these kids when you really don't know them? What are you going off of? Is it just max preps? Because there are kids who are really good that might not have the statistics and that are way better, or maybe even be a Division I prospect before a kid that had 1,000 yards. It sounds crazy, but that's just the way that it is.
I feel like it's max preps and Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of these guys even watch film or watch whole games. I think they just see highlights and then go to max preps, and then that's how they go on to ranking a kid. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's productive, or I don't think you can be accurate that.
And I don't think you could be anonymous. I don't think that we should allow anonymous pages to say anything. We need to know who you are, what gives you the qualifications to say that this kid is this. I don't like anonymous sources in the league. Like when they say, I talked to anonymous GM, like, and he said this negative about this person. Like, nah, say who you are and stand on that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important for us to know who these people are. And I think that because it's the kids that hang on to it. The adults, we can live with it. We write it off. We turn the page. Who cares? It's the kids that say, oh, I'm being slept on, or, they're the ones that are posting a list saying, I appreciate it. But like, you appreciate it from somebody who lives in their mom's basement who never played past JV football. Again, this is an assumption because we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, last topic. Congratulations on fatherhood, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You got a baby girl coming, right?
Baby girl, October 22nd.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you plan on, because one of the biggest things that I'm going through a struggle with is finding a balance between work, taking care of yourself, providing for your family, being a father for your kids, and then being a football coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm struggling with that now. Like I said, I got 5 kids. I watch a lot of film, so it's like I struggle with it every week, every year. It's just trying to find that time to balance work, home, fatherhood, and being a kid, you know, and taking care of the kids. So how do you plan on dealing with that?
Man, I thank God it's only one, and not
Nah,
your
yeah.
5.
Nah, yeah.
But one for now. You know, my girl, she's amazing, Michelle. You know, so she's gonna kind of take the reins a little bit more because she knows obviously that I love football, but I'm gonna make sure, you know, V and I have already kind of talked already because he knows that, you know, these days are gonna be long for me. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about, you know, missing a day here, missing a day there, but my girl knows that, you know, I'm gonna do everything I can for my family and, you know, be there, you know, every step of the way. But she also knows that, you know, what this game means to me, you know, what it's done for me. A lot of the reasons why, you know, she's with me, or you know, a lot of the qualities of, you know, being a good father is some of the things that I've learned, you know, playing this game. And so she knows she's not going to take that away. You know, I work outside sales, so I got a little bit of flexibility. I don't actually have to punch a clock, so I got some flexibility there. So really, it's going to be trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that there's any parent that can tell you that, like, it went down this way and this is how it was. I think it's going to be, you know, we kind of figured it out along the way. We got a great support system. My family's still up in either Palmdale or the LA area, but her family's here, so, you know, we'll be able to try to make it work. See how it go. We should be right into getting into the playoff run around that time. So
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you. So my advice would be, you know, like she gotta take a lot of the reins and stuff about stuff during the season, but just make sure in that off season, like, you make up for everything that she did as far as during the season. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the one advice that I have for you as far as trying to find that balance between fatherhood and coaching and just living your own life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. That's one thing too, man. I will ask for help. I will, you know, I've asked, you know, a lot of the guys that are already fathers, you know, how did it work for you? What was the most stressful part? What was the toughest part? What happened unexpectedly? And so I like to be prepared, but I also like to be ready for that audible because I know, you know, it's going to happen.
Stepping into the game as a young coach, what is like the first couple like early lessons you're learning right now as a coach?
I would say, you know, actually being a coach instead of like, you know, like a coach's player type, like friendly with the coaches. You know, I need to be more strict as a coach and a mentor.
Okay. So my advice for that would to be, I would say, don't be afraid to connect with your kids. You know what I'm saying? You're not the old father yet, you know what I'm saying, that has to be a drill sergeant. I don't think there's nothing wrong with being a coach. That I think the best part about me is that I was relatable to y'all, you know what I'm saying, and to my brother and everything. So don't be afraid to be relatable as a young coach, because that is going to be your gift to be able to get them to buy into you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So don't worry about getting too close to the players. I remember when I first started coaching at La Jolla, a coach had a problem with me because he would say, like, I'm too close to the players. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, but then he would be mad when the players wouldn't listen to him. Right. And then he would have to tell me to go talk to the dude, you feel me, because he will listen to me and not listen to you. And I'm like, and I'm trying to tell him, like, well, the reason he, you know, probably a little hesitant listening to you is because he feels you're not connected to him. You know what I'm saying? You're just trying to tell him to do something. You're just talking at him. You know what I'm saying? You're not talking. You're not communicating with them. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. Right. So that's my thing. My advice I'll give to you is to don't hesitate. With you being you like big bro right now. You're not father, grandpa right now. Right. So embrace that. Embrace your youth and use that to help you become a better coach. And then when you get to that stage, you'll adjust, and you know what I'm saying? You'll adjust, and you'll adjust, and you'll adjust to as your age gets older to how you need to be. But right now, use your youth to connect to your players and get them to buy in. And then it's patience. You know, it might not work the first time, the second time, even the 10th time, but just be patient and be confident that you know what you're talking about, because you do. You're a smart kid. You played the game. You did everything it was to do in this game. You know what I'm saying? So don't be confident that you know what you're talking about. And as long as they see that you're confident what you're talking about, the best feeling as a coach is when they finally do. When you yell at them for 100 times to do this and they get it wrong 99 times, and then that 100th time they get it, that's what's gonna bring the joy. Like, best. Yes, I finally did it. You feel me? It's like I said, just patience and use your youth to your advantage. Don't let nobody tell you that that's a bad thing. That you always demand respect. You feel me? As you can always demand respect, but you can still relate to your players. You know what I'm saying? So use your youth, always demand respect. You know what I'm saying? And then just patience. So that would be my advice to you.
Yeah. You know, I feel like we, you know, I'm 37. You're 30 what? 31. I feel like we're not. Now, I mean, I'll be 38 this year. But I just don't feel like we're the coaches that we had. If that makes sense. I feel like them dudes was so much older, and they might have been in their 30s, but they just conducted themselves
way different.
Yeah, I told a lot of our kids, and they find out how old we are. They're like, nah, no way. Like, you're not that old. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know. But we still wear cleats to practice. Like, you know, Coach Tay got his cleats on every day. He's taking his drops. You know, he throws 7-on-7 for the scout. Mm-hmm. You know, so we're gonna ask him this week to move around a little bit more. So you're gonna, you know, have to get a little stretch in.
My body hurt, man. My body hurt.
Get a little stretch in and stuff. But you know, sometimes I'll go out there and I'll go play safety. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll just go do it just to set the tone of how it should be run. And I'm calling out the ins and outs and telling the other guys run to the ball, and you know, it just kind of sets the tone. So my coaches didn't really do that when I was in school, but you know, we try to get active with the kids a little bit.
You'd be like, Coach, you go do it. Let me see you do it.
But nah, man, I appreciate y'all for coming through, man. Some good conversation. Like it's another. I appreciate the good conversation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all coming through. Like I said, Montalia wasn't the only person that made me bring this to fruition. You was also another person that kind of made me think like, damn, I probably need to do this. You know, you was the second one to be like, yeah, put me on too. Yeah, you feel me? So I appreciate you too for you feel me, kind of help me, motivate me to put this thing into motion.
You know, and I'll take I'm sure Tay too. We'll take number 2 to Montali, man. With we say 12 section championships and state championships and stuff. It's like I was driving over. I was like, man, that's a tough act to follow. This dude's dropping gems and. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, you was dropping them on him too, man. You was dropping on. You got some good knowledge too, man. It's always good to pick your brain. I'm sure it's not the first time we gonna talk. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, little bro. You already know you good with me.
Always.
But like I said, man, it's episode 2. Appreciate y'all.